So I finally got around to reading the WITCHBLADE series. Now, I have seen this series beforehand, but I never really gave it the time of day because I didn't really know much about it, nor was I very much interested in the book itself, especially when it came to the covers, as I thought this was a corn magazine. And while it kinda is at some points, there's actually more to it. But before I continue talking about this series, there's something I want to talk about first, which is something that I thought was both the same thing, which was the bad girl art style and the Mega Babe. So what's the difference between the bad girl art style and the Mega Babe? Now, the bad girl art style or bad girl characters started way back in the 90s, and they would wear or be drawn with very revealing clothing, not to mention drawn very sexy. Not to mention some of the characters would also be morally ambiguous and would also wield some type of supernatural power. However, the bad girl art style would be more of the former rather than the latter. However, the override sexualization didn't just stop at the women. The men were drawn to be very muscular, have long hair, and to essentially have a strong jawline, making them look almost like Fabio. And while other comics like She, Vampirella, Lady Death, Witchblade, and Razor that used the Batgirl art style, DC and Marvel also used this art style for some of their characters like Elektra and Catwoman. But now, what's the Mega Babe? Well, I'll have Bill Abouts kinda explain that.
Additionally, the women comic book characters, there's been a Wonder Woman. And then in the 80s and 90s, there's what's called the Mega Babe. Large-breasted, muscled, take on the guys sometime with a pissed-off attitude.
Hey, asshole!
Now, there are some characters that still fit this role to this day. One of my favorite being Julie from Heavy Metal 2000, another one being Red Sonja, and one that I would technically count as a Mega Babe, Artemis from DC. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think that both of these things are the same thing, or do you think that the Mega Babe and the Bad Girl art style / characters are different? Now, in the story of Witchblade, we follow the main character, Sarah Pazzini, as she tries to stop a deal from going down, but in doing so, she loses her partner. Not only that, she becomes one with the Witchblade. Now, the Witchblade is an ancient weapon, and no one really knows where it came from, except for a few characters that we'll learn later down the line that they know about the Witchblade. But at the current moment, nobody really knows what it is, and nobody can really wear it except for Sarah Pazzini. And now the Witchblade kind of works similar like a symbiote, except it kind of, I would say, persuades its user to do dark things. Which again, it pretty much works like a symbiote. Now, the Witchblade can do several things. It can coat the wearer in like this living metal. Not only that, the wearer can actually make anything from the Witchblade, like any weapon that they want, whether it be like an actual sword, a plasma blade, anything that the wielder, again, wants. Not to mention, the Witchblade has some other supernatural powers that the wielder can use, such as bringing someone back from the dead. Now, we don't know if this means that she can bring back someone's soul into their body, or just resurrect the body itself. I mean, when we do see it, her partner does kind of have some semblance of sentience, but immediately wants to go back being dead, as I'm assuming that since he came back in a dead body, it pretty much hurts for him to be alive. And not only that, we don't really know how long these people can actually stay alive. I'm pretty sure if I read more of the issues of Witchblade, I'm pretty sure I'd find out. But at the current moment, we don't really know how long they can stay alive. Also, the Witchblade heals her wounds, gives her a minor healing factor, all that stuff. Now, when it comes to the rest of the cast, we have two of the main villains that she mainly goes up against throughout the series. One being Kenneth Irons, a billionaire that wants to use the powers of the Witchblade, and Ian Nottingham, his hired assassin, who is sometimes Sarah's lover. Now, there are other characters besides her villains, such as her sister Julie Pazzini, her ex-partner, as well as Sarah, who is a young struggling model, which is going to bring me to talk about some of the themes in this series. Now, there are a lot of underlying themes in Witchblade. The one I do want to talk about is exploitation. Now, there are two characters that have been exploited the most, one being Ian Nottingham, and Lisa. Lisa used to be a young model, but as she got older, she kind of had to start going into adult modeling, that being women that wear very exposed clothing. And when it comes to Ian Nottingham, he gets exploited by Kenneth Irons. That's because Ian is actually in debt to Kenneth, and Kenneth does kind of abuse that to the point where he makes Ian wear a leather BDSM suit whenever he fails Kenneth. Now, this actually brings me to talk about the art style again. The art by Michael Turner is pretty great. I love the character designs. I like how everybody looks either sexy and handsome, and I like how Sarah looks like when she has her Witchblade mode on. But the one thing that I did kind of see sometimes in this series were scenes where I kind of felt like, yeah, this could have been worked on a little bit more. Yeah, the characters' faces do kind of seem a little bit, wider at this point in time. But the one thing that I kind of felt when reading this series was this weird underlying presence of fetishes. It's kind of hard to explain, but to put it simply, I feel like that this comic series would, at one point in time, kind of have a certain fetish that some people have, if that kind of makes sense. And while his fight scenes are pretty good, I feel like his strong points are more like poses, backgrounds, and things like that. If there's a couple of things that I do think I have a problem with Witchblade, is that it takes a little bit of time for you to kind of understand what's kind of going on in the story. We kind of just get thrown into the story pretty fast in the first couple of issues before we start understanding the things that are going on within this series. But I think that's like the one issue I have. Again, I've only read through, or maybe I said this the first time, I don't really know. I've only read through the first 6 issues and haven't really gone through anything more besides the first 6. So after everything, I think Witchblade is pretty good, and honestly, I think I will continue to read it and give you guys my final thoughts once I kind of catch up all 198 issues. And then by then, I think I will give you guys my full opinion on what I think about it. For now, I think it's pretty much okay. Again, this is like the only 6-issue series. This is like the first 6 issues I've read. I haven't read everything yet. But so far, I think it's pretty much okay. If you guys have any questions or if you guys want to ask anything, again, leave a comment down below. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time.